My name is Dennis, and for the last 3 years, I worked with countless coaches, whether it's helping solo entrepreneurs hit the first 10K per month or scaling established coaching businesses to 7 figures. And after working with so many coaching businesses, I've noticed something fascinating. Almost 100% of the time, we use the same system to upskill. And what's even more fascinating is that this exact system worked 3 years ago, and it still works today. No matter how much the market changes or what niche you're in, the system continues to produce results. You might be wondering why? Well, most likely it's because if there's one thing that hasn't changed for thousands of years, it's people. At its core, the system isn't based on platforms, algorithms, or trends. It's built around human psychology and behavior. And that's why it works consistently. So in this video, I thought I would simply share what this system is and how we use it to scale coaching businesses to 7 figures so that you can do the same. Very simple. Now, this system is based on a concept that I like to call the magic box. And if you've never heard this story before, it might seem absurd and a bit crazy, but bear with me. Once you understand the story, it will completely shift the way you see your coaching business. So once upon a time, there was a magic box, and it was called a magic box because of its unusual capabilities. It could turn a blank piece of paper into unlimited amounts of money. You'd place a blank sheet into the slot, and out would come a large bill, 100, 500, or 1,000 bill. Now, just imagine if you owned a box like that. What would you do? Most people I ask say they'd gather all the paper they could and they'd feed it into the box 24/7. They'll max out their credit cards, they'll try to buy as much paper as possible, and they will feed it 24/7. But stay with me here for a moment, because while this magic box doesn't exist in real life, you actually already have something just as valuable. And it's called your client acquisition system. Because a properly built acquisition system works the same way. You put in $1, $5, or $20, and on the other side, it produces $100, $500, or even $1,000 in revenue. And the best part about it is that your acquisition system works 24/7, 365 days a year without complaining, calling in sick, or getting distracted. It removes stress and uncertainty, and it gives you the confidence to scale without worrying about the lead flow drying up. In other words, when you have the perfect client acquisition system, all you need to do is really send traffic to it. And when you have the right automation, it will deliver consistent sales or pre-sold leads ready to do business with you. Now, the problem that I see most coaching businesses have is that they think they have a system like this in place. And sure, they might have some components of it, for example, a website, landing pages, opt-ins, email autoresponders, or a DM funnel, but they don't have a fully operational client acquisition machine. And there's a big difference, because between having a few components and having a system that practically turns leads into high-ticket clients is something completely different. And like I told you before, this is the exact system that we use for our clients to help them scale past 7 figures, regardless of what niche they're in. Now, to build your own customer acquisition machine, what you need to understand is that there's 2 components to it. The first one is lead generation, which is attracting cold prospects and getting them to notice you. The second one is lead conversion, so warming up those cold prospects and turning them into paying clients. We all know this already. Here's how it works. You have your traffic, which brings in the cold prospects. Those cold prospects enter a warming system until they become hot leads. And once they're hot leads, they move into the closing system and become clients. And finally, your coaching business hopefully has a 5-star client fulfillment system, which delivers an amazing experience, leading them to repeated purchases and referrals. Now, the secret to having the perfect successful customer acquisition machine, not just a system, is to succeed with these 2 principles. The first one is that your lead generation should be based on people, not platforms. And your lead conversion phase should be used using the attention amplifier. And I'll explain what these mean in a few minutes, but for now, just know that you need these 2 components to succeed with it. So if we start with lead generation, many coaches and entrepreneurs, they rely too heavily on platforms, for example, like Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. But trends change, and there's changes to the algorithm. And if your system depends on these, you'll always struggle. So instead, you need to build a system that isn't dependent on the latest traffic tricks, but on something that has never changed for centuries. which is people. And when your system is built around people, everything becomes easier to set up. Because it won't matter what's trending, it won't matter what your competitors are doing, you'll only focus on what actually makes people buy. And what makes people buy? Well, there are many wonderful books on why people buy, but the foundational principles of why people buy are simple. There's two reasons: pain and gain. And most people buy to avoid pain, actually, to get out of the pain they are in. And the more you can touch on these emotions or push the emotional hot buttons, the more successful you'll be. The reverse is also true. If you don't push any pain or gain hot buttons, you will have worse results and will be missing opportunities. So basically, when it comes to lead generation, focus on why people buy. So here's an example. So the first example is from Bulk, which is one of the most famous supplement companies in the world. And as you can see, you have a pop-up. So this only pops up once in a while. And it says you get a free discount if you opt in, put in your email address. That's the only way you're going to get this discount. And it's today only. So as you can see, they're selling with the emotion of me losing out on something. If I don't put in my email address right now, well, I'm going to miss this. So the fear of losing out on something. That's the emotion they're selling with. Another example is Maria Forleo, which helps other entrepreneurs scale their business, whether it's B2B or product-based business. She helps all these ones. So it's a coaching business. And as you can see, she describes her opt-in. It's a free webinar basically that she has as opt-in. And she describes it with 3 words: freedom, prosperity, and happiness. All emotions. Once you decide that you're ready to opt in or to join the free webinar, you're going to see that you get taken to this page right here. And you have a timer. Again, the fear of losing out on something. And then you will have your opt-in right here. And even in her headline, she uses emotions. Dream Business Bootcamp. I'm sure we all have heard of this, that whenever you have an offer or a headline, you need to use at least one adjective. And even in the sub-headline, you can see it's a course on entrepreneurship that she's selling. She's selling coaching. And the webinar is about scaling your business. But she uses the word freedom as well. Sales, profit, and freedom. Again, another emotion. So this is the lead generation phase. Now, once you have your leads, you want to convert your leads. So let's dive into that. Now that we know why people buy and what makes great lead generation, we're going to enter the second component, which is lead conversion phase. And to do that, it's important to know how people buy, not just why. And what if I told you that if you understand how people buy, you can make your leads go from no interest to a raving fan in just 1 second? You might be thinking, that sounds far-fetched. And I'll be honest, if I was listening to this and if I didn't know what was coming up, I would be saying, sure, Dennis, what have you been smoking? That's not how it works in the real world, but it is how it works in the real world. All sales actually starts with only 1 second. Did you get married in 1 second? Did you buy your house in 1 second? Did you ever buy anything significant in 1 second? Well, actually no, but something caught your attention in that first second, and then you decided to invest more time. And this is what I like to call the attention amplifier. So 1 second buys you 3 seconds, which buys you 30 seconds, which buys you 15 minutes, which buys you an hour. And every level represents a deeper level of commitment from your prospect. And the goal? Well, it's to earn more of their time and attention until they're fully sold on working with you. It's just like dating. A 1 second glance buys you a 3 second high. A 3 second high buys you a 30 second conversation. A 30 second conversation buys you a 15-minute coffee date. A 15-minute coffee date buys you a dinner date. And so on and so on and so on. So to put it simply, your lead conversion system should take cold prospects from 1 second interest to 3 seconds, to 30 seconds, to 5 minutes, to 15 minutes, to an hour, to a sale, and then to an upsell, to a raving fan. And if you don't have this in place, you're leaving thousands or even millions on the table. Now, for you to understand this better, here's another example. Let's go back and look at Marie, which is the same coach I showed you in the previous example about lead generation. But now I'll show you how she uses the concept of the time amplifier in her lead conversion system. So step one is obviously to send traffic to our client acquisition system. And what's fascinating is that this is the only part that we actually need to do manually. Her client acquisition machine will handle everything automatically after this part. So in this example, your traffic comes from Instagram, but your traffic can literally come from anywhere. Whether it's organic or paid, it doesn't matter since our system is based on people and not trends. So it takes 1 second for this text interposed right here to either get your attention or not to get it. If it gets your attention, you will keep swiping on the carousel post until you reach the CTA. Now that 1 second that caught your attention actually led to the fact that you spent 15 seconds. 15 seconds swiping, right? Now, if these 15 seconds felt valuable to you, then you will keep going on in the funnel and you will go to her CTA, which is the opt-in page to her webinar. And on this page right here, you will spend another 30 seconds, perhaps a minute. And if that time felt valuable to you, well, then you will opt in and you will end up in her email sequence. And most likely you will immediately get sent an email as soon as you opt in, and you will spend another 3 minutes reading the email. And if those 3 emails felt valuable to you, then you will keep reading all the other emails you received from her. Because in most cases, coaching businesses, they send out 1 email every day up until the webinar starts. And that's just because they want as many people as possible to actually show up to the webinar. Now, in this case, Marie's webinar is in 7 days, meaning you will receive 7 emails. And if every email you read feels valuable to you, well, then you most likely will open the next email that you receive. And you will read all of them, which approximately becomes 15 minutes of your time that you invested in reading Marie's emails. And since you read all of them, it's safe to assume that you gained a lot of value from each email and you will actually show up to the webinar. And here on the webinar, you will spend another hour. And if that 1 hour you spent felt valuable, you will show up to the next webinar Marie has, which is the day after. And if that webinar felt valuable, that 1 hour you spent felt valuable, then you will spend another hour as well watching the third webinar as well. And here at the third webinar, the final one, Marie has a CTA telling you to book a call with her. And if you've really felt that each webinar felt valuable to you, then you will book a call with her. And once you book a call, again, Marie's gonna send you a ton of emails to make you show up to the sales call. In this case, let's say that you booked your call 3 days from now, meaning you'll receive around 3 to 4 emails maybe. That becomes 8 minutes approximately. And once you show up to the sales call, you will invest 30 minutes in the sales call and then you'll make your purchase. But what's interesting is that the total time you spent reading her content, the emails, or watching her content, the webinars, is 4 hours. The time frame of you investing her content is actually 12 days. And that's what a perfect lead conversion system needs to have. A long time frame where you invest a lot of time in her content, because each hour, each second, and each minute you spend consuming her content makes you a warmer lead. And once you're warm enough, once you've spent enough time, and once you've had Marie in the back of your head for a long time frame, in this case 12 days, that's the only point when you'll be ready to actually make the sale. So to summarize it, if you have the perfect lead generation system and the perfect lead conversion system, then you have a fully built client acquisition machine. And the only thing you will have to focus on to scale your coaching business is the traffic. Send more traffic to this machine and you'll make more money. Very simple.